Hello, everybody, and welcome to week one of the Bear Report, where we're going to be assessing Bear Bachmeier's performance in week one against Portland State. Now, I'm going to be assessing him just as a passer, so we're going to look at the 13 called pass plays that he had and evaluate his success on each drop back. We'll also take a look at the play call, coverage, and pressure situation for each of the throws. So let's get into it. So his first play um, the play call was the slot motion screen to Parker Kingston. This is a good throw, quick throw to get him into rhythm. 5 yard gain. Some nice moves from Kingston to make some guys miss. Not a whole lot to say on this throw, just good accuracy on the quick throw. And, nice to see a UIU quarterback hit some of these quick throws after, Retzloff missed a couple of these quick swing passes and quick screen passes last year. Now into a second drop back. This was a max protect and slot cross concepts. You had vertical from the outside receivers and then a cross or over route from the slot receiver. Um, this was against a blitz cover three. You'll notice that Portland State played either cover three or cover one on almost every single drop back here. So one high safety defense pretty much exclusively when Bachmeier was in the game. Blitz was picked up well by the max protection, but this pass was broken up by the underneath defender. So my notes on this throw, it was the correct decision. It's the primary read on this throw, designed to go to Kingston on this route. The ball was definitely thrown a little bit behind the receiver, and so it was batted by the defender. Definitely could have been a big gain. He was pretty open if he puts that ball right on the numbers instead of leaving it a little bit inside. That's probably a catch, and Kingston probably turns it up for another 10, 15 yards or even more. So, looked a little bit like a true freshman on this throw, just needs to place that ball a little bit better in order to pick up some of these gains when, the coordinator and play caller scheming these open. You've got to convert on these throws. Next one was a third down. This was an ISO fade to Chase Roberts. And it was another cover three fire zone. It did look like maybe it was just pure man coverage on the solo receiver. Tough to tell for sure what the exact coverage is sometimes, but definitely looked like a cover three, but maybe with a man tag on the solo receiver side. Again, the blitz was picked up, but this pass was underthrown and broken up by the DB. Now, as far as my notes on this one, you can't really blame him for taking the one-on-one matchup with your best receiver against an FCS corner. You keep doing that, good things are going to happen. That being said, the ball definitely was underthrown and too far inside. This one, you've got to go down the field, especially no safety help. You've got nothing to worry about by putting the ball out ahead of the receiver. Worst case, it falls incomplete, 5 yards over their head, and but leaving it inside, that is how you run the risk of passes being intercepted. I'd also say the receiver was not really open here. Maybe he could have come open if the ball was put more downfield. But having to fight through the DB, that's just a tough catch to make. If he had been a little patient, he might have been able and willing to look away from that first read. He might have seen LJ Martin popping open on the weak side, and that check down might have picked up the first down. So, again, it's hard to blame a true freshman for taking the one-on-one matchup on a go ball to your best receiver, but I think that either better ball placement or maybe just a little bit of patience and willingness to look at some other options might have led to the first down being picked up here. Now, the next drop back, this was almost a full quarter later due to the blocked field goal touchdown and then a couple Portland State punts. So this was third and goal from the 4 yard line, and it was this doubles right crack slot flat that they love to run, where basically you're going to have the outside receiver try to occupy two defenders and then throw the quick flat to the inside receiver. Worked to perfection here is just an easy completion to Chase Roberts and really good sell by JoJo Phillips. I thought he had a great game, even though he did not have a catch of just, running his routes well to occupy defenders and throwing some good blocks as well. And yeah, this touchdown doesn't happen without a good sell and then a good block by JoJo. The next play is, a pretty traditional RPO glance concept. So this is kind of a skinny slant that goes up the field a little bit. This was against cover one on first down. No pressure here, but the pass to Cody Hagan was broken up. It was a little overthrown. This is the only overthrow from Bear that I saw on the day. Most of the rest of his incompletions or questionable throws were on the underthrown side. But again, this is a good decision to pull the ball, especially all three of the linebackers really came down hard on the run action. With that happening, maybe the ball should have gone a little bit more inside. Maybe Hagan can flatten his route a little bit. Again, it's probably designed to be that glance, skinny post, skinny slant type route. So maybe he doesn't have that flexibility, but either way, that ball definitely sails a little bit on him. And what should have probably been a easy first down completion ends up being batted and almost intercepted. But after that play, though, I thought he really started to settle in. This was his next drop back was out of the under center single back look. You had the fake jet sweep motion, and then a little roll out to the right, and an easy touchdown to the tight end Noah Mowiaki. This is a five-man pressure. It's easily picked up or avoided just by that little rollout action. Again, great play design here. Good zip to fit the ball in between the safety and corner. You kind of had the corner trying to play two different receivers. He sort of circled back from the running back over to the tight end, but Bachmeier got the ball to him before he could get in there and make the play. So, just good decision, good timing. Those are really some of Bear's strengths that he put on display in this first game. And, he really is well ahead of many other true freshmen in those areas. Next, you had a little bit of a unique play design. This looked like a new wrinkle in the offense this year. They had the running back motion up and out, and then a quick screen to him. This was on second down against a cover one blitz. Um, so definitely the pressure was coming, especially on the screen, but it was just beaten by the quick throw. And LJ made some guys miss, got 12 yards. Yeah, it's definitely a good job of just getting the ball right out, avoiding, throwing it into a blitzing D end or anything like that. So great job again. Really impressed with Bachmeier's ability to make these layups, these easy short throws, without, putting the ball in harm's way. Next drop back, this was probably his best throw of the day. So this was another play action max protect look. They really like this look to get time for routes to get down the field and take the shot. This is against cover three, and this is a good cover three beating concept. The white corner route. So Carson Ryan really gets upfield and then finds the open spot in the zone, and Bachmeier puts it right on him. Once again, linebackers bit hard on the run fake. That just goes to show you how good BYU's run game was in this first week. Those linebackers definitely felt like they had to overplay for it. Good ball placement. And again, this is a pretty simple read. Really only one place you're planning on going with this ball, but it was well executed and really happy with the ball placement on this one. Next play was a shallow cross concept with verticals and then a tight end coming across underneath. Again, against cover three. Um, this was, again, throwing from a clean pocket, but defensive end was getting a little bit close when the ball was released. Um, then the result of this play, it was another goal ball to Chase Roberts that was incomplete. Once again, it looked like he decided he was going to go to Chase pre-snap. He didn't look at anybody else. Again, I'm not going to be too upset at a true freshman for clearly identifying one-on-one coverage against his best receiver and saying, I'm just going to take that no matter what. That being said, once again, it looked like maybe JoJo and even LJ were open on the backside if he had been willing to look that direction. I think JoJo ran like a stop route right at the sticks, so that could have been a first down if he'd been willing to look there. Um, Now compared to his first incompletion, though, this was more along the right track. It was a good job throwing it back shoulder. The first one went a little bit inside, and the defender broke it up. This one was to the back shoulder, which is a lot safer spot to put it. Just sailed a little bit out of bounds. But even though it's also an incompletion, you like to see at least the improvement and doing a better job of protecting the football and putting it in a place where only Chase is going to be able to make that play. His 10th drop back of the night. This was another good play design, hopefully something we can see a little bit more of. This was a burst motion from the tight end Carson Ryan, so an outbreaking motion, and then against the cover one man defense, it really worked well and got Carson Ryan running up the seam, and the defender had his back turned, is just trying to keep up. Pass was complete for a 22-yard touchdown. Yeah, really good decision versus man coverage. Yeah, like I was saying, threw it while the defender's back was turned, so really not chance for him to make a play. Um, Ball, that being said, was a little bit underthrown, kind of tipped by the defender, but Ryan made a great play on the juggling one-handed catch. I would say that a Big 12 DB could probably break up this pass. It's not really at risk of being intercepted again with the DB's back turned and him in a full sprint trying to keep up with the tight end, but definitely another instance where you got to clean up the ball placement and really drive the ball into the spot and not leave it short, where defenders can make a play on it. And now the next play we're getting into, kind of the 2-minute situation. So you're going to see Portland State shift here to only bring three guys. So in this instance, they played cover three with an extra safety kind of floating between the linebacker and the three deep layers. This is a verticals concept. So you got multiple routes going down the field. Nothing was really open against this kind of prevent look. So it was a good decision to tuck the ball and run. I thought it was a good job lowering the shoulder to make sure you get the first down to stop the clock in the 2-minute situation. Outside of the 2-minute situation, I would probably prefer for him to slide and maybe only pick up 8 instead of 11 yards, just to avoid the hit. But when you're in that situation, in a closer game, you definitely want to make sure that you get the first down, if possible, so that you can get that clock to stop and that you don't have to use a timeout or settle for a field goal because you're running out of time. So good job here. Really good job deciding to run. Didn't try to force the ball into triple coverage or anything crazy. He just got through his reads and saw it wasn't there and then took off. Next drop back. This was the flood right concept. This is a concept that BYU loves to run all the time. Saw them run it plenty, especially early in last season. And you saw different versions of it throughout this first game. And flood's really a clear out from the outside receiver, so vertical route, and then either a corner or out route from the next receiver, and then you have kind of a flat from the running back, all on the same side. Really trying to overload the zones over there. Again, it was kind of a prevent look with the three-man rush. It looked more like man coverage, so it's cover one plus an extra linebacker just kind of sitting in zone. Um, but this was another one of his best throws of the night. Got the ball to Cody Hagan on the corner route, 24-yard gain. It was actually really nice route from Hagan. He kind of faked an over route and then whipped back out to the corner and had tons of space. He was wide open against the soft coverage. Um, Good ball, good velocity on the ball, fitting it between the defenders. If we're being just a tiny bit nitpicky, he probably could have led the receiver outside more to allow for a few more yards after the catch. It wasn't necessarily behind him, but it did kind of stop the receiver. He kind of jumped and stopped in place. If he just lets that ball lead him a little bit more outside, especially for a fast receiver like Hagan, he can probably catch it on the run and keep going. And the last drop back of the game, this was another flood right concept. Again, something that they love. And, really simple read for a true freshman quarterback to be able to do. Once again, prevent look with an extra linebacker sitting in the cover three pattern. Nothing was open here, so Bachmeier scrambles for a 12-yard touchdown. Again, got through the reads quickly, saw it wasn't there, saw lots of zone defenders lurking. He showed really good elusiveness and speed. He juked a defender around the line of scrimmage and then was able to do an awesome Superman dive into the end zone. So it really showed you that he can be the complete package as a runner, not just have the speed, not just have the elusiveness, but not just run people over, but just all of that together combined with the good decision making. So really impressed with what he showed on the ground, even though this video we're primarily looking at him as a passer. Really liked the way he um, was decisive when he ran the football as well. Okay, so with that, we'll wrap up the video going through my overall grades for Bachmeier's performance. So on 13 dropbacks, he was 7-11 for 97 yards and 3 touchdowns passing with no interceptions. He also had 2 scrambles on those dropbacks for 23 yards and a touchdown and no sacks taken. Pretty clean game overall. Accuracy, I'll give him a C minus. Like I was saying, a few balls were underthrown, tipped by defenders. He needs to have better ball placement against Big 12 DBs. I thought he did get better as the game went on. He showed good accuracy on the quick throws and on those out-breaking corner routes. Um, be interesting to see, can he find a way to improve on those deep balls, and really, pick up some of those chunk plays with the arm as well. Decision making, I'll give him an A minus. Really impressed with this from a true freshman in his first career start. He made good decisions, got through the reads quickly, ball got out quickly before the rush arrived. That's a big thing that quarterbacks struggle with. Occasionally, like I talked about, it seemed like he decided who he was going to go to pre-snap and throw it to them, even if they weren't really open. Um, I'm not gonna blame him too much for that. Generally you wanna, identifying those matchups is a good thing, but you can't be 100% set on throwing it even if it's not there. But overall, really good decision making. I didn't see anything that was, a truly bad decision. No throwing into double coverage, no, none of that. Pocket presence, I'll give him an A. Didn't face a ton of pressure. A lot of max protect for him. But I thought he scrambled when appropriate. It wasn't excessive. It wasn't not enough. It was just the right amount. He didn't bail from clean pockets or drift into pressure. Sometimes you see that with college quarterbacks. But yeah, not a ton of pressure that he faced, but thought that he showed signs of being a quarterback with good pocket presence and a good sense of when to run and when to keep his eyes downfield. So overall, I'll give him a B plus. Clearly needs to work on ball placement. I counted 4 underthrows and 1 overthrow, and then 4 total passes that defenders got hands on. So something to clean up for sure, especially with the number of balls that defenders are able to touch, because those could, turn into tip ball interceptions in conference play. But definitely promising to see his pocket presence being so good, and especially his decision making being that good for a freshman. I would say overall, if he improves his ball placement and continues against better defenses, BYU might have a star on its hands. Maybe that's a bit of an overreaction after seeing, 11 throws and just one half of action, but I was really impressed with what I saw from Bachmeier overall in the start. That being said, there's a couple things he hasn't really seen yet. He hasn't really seen or faced any real pressure. Um, there were a few blitzes, but a lot of times the blitzes were into max protection and didn't really affect his rhythm or timing at all. He also really only saw cover one and cover three. So we have to see how he does against cover two, cover four, especially these middle field open defenses instead of the middle field closed look of cover one, cover three. So we have to also wait to see if he understands how to attack the middle of the field against those kinds of defenses. I thought he did a really good job of attacking outside the numbers in the quick game and on the corner routes. That tends to be what's open against cover one and cover three. But question is, can he continue to improve his ball placement and can he show that he can really attack all areas of the field with his arm, no matter what the coverage is? That'll do it for this week's Bear Report. Thanks again for watching.